We are making a Hangyodon headband. This is for my daughter. She asked me to make this for her to take to a rave that she was going to attend. And so I thought, let me give it a try. I don't really know the Hangyodon character. I guess a Sanrio character. But here I am gluing together two EVA foam because I didn't have one that was thick enough. So I'm putting some contact cement there and let it dry a little bit and then just sandwich them together. After it dried a little bit, you can see I have a headband over here that she's going to be using, and I'm using it as a template to sort of get a estimate of what the ears are going to look like. By the way, Hangyodon is a fish, as you can tell, and so those are fins. The top of his head and then the side are for the ears. And so I just kind of estimated, the size of that fin for the top and for the sides. And I'm cutting them out here. This was pretty easy to cut out since the foam isn't really that thick, even though I doubled it up. Here's the second ear. Alright, now that I've got those cut out, I'm going to do some sanding, kind of give it some shape, mostly to shave the edges, smooth out the edges, and I've got my vacuum going here so that all of those dust can be just sucked in right away. Sometimes I would do this outside just to not make a mess inside my craft room. I'm not really sure what those divots are for, but I figured I'd make them. Instead of just drawing them as black lines, I thought, let me add some texture to it. So I decided I would hollow them out a little bit. This is actually a pretty short project compared to the other projects I've done in the past. It just took a day. Oh, not exactly a day. Just maybe 2 to 3 hours. I have to wait for the paint to dry a couple of times, but otherwise it went fairly quickly. And I had all the materials already. I didn't have to go and buy any. Okay, now that I've got those sort of divots created, I'm sanding them, smooth them out some more. Looking at this video, I just realized that the size of those side fins are pretty much the size of a person's ear. And I guess that makes sense because they're supposed to represent the ear fins, I guess. Here I'm heating them up a little bit. This helps close out the pores on the EVA foam, especially after sanding. Makes it easier to paint. Alright, now I'm going to be painting them, and I got these metallic paint from Michael's a couple of years back, and I haven't really used them that much, but this one is called Glacier Blue. The paint are from Modern Masters, called Metallic Paint Collection. And I just got lucky that I had this paint and it matches Hangyodon's color. So, you know, it was good luck. I already had it. And I'm using a paintbrush here at the beginning to paint the first coat, but I didn't really like how it was turning out, so I'm going to change it to a sponge in a little bit. Second layer of paint. Alright, so I let it dry for a little bit. And this is third layer, and I'm using a sponge here. I thought I would try something and see if I can use this round sponge to try to create scale, like a scale effect. It didn't really work out, so I just used the sponge to add another layer, another coat to, you know, brighten up the color some more. I'm laying it on pretty thick actually, but it turned out really nice at the end because it's a very metallic shine to it. Alright, now for the edges, this is the same type of paint from Modern Masters. This one is called a Black Pearl. So it is black but iridescent, or you know, it has a little glitter on it, so it goes well with the blue paint. And I always wonder when I'm watching these videos afterwards, it almost looks like my hands are pretty steady, but they're not. While I'm doing this, I'm usually worried that my hands aren't very steady and they're going to mess up the paint. But for something like this anyway, it doesn't really need a steady hand because it's all pretty rough and the lines are pretty thick. There's not a lot of fine detail. Alright, now the edges. Sometimes the painting does take the most time, from the cutting and the sanding and everything else. And I realized that especially after, you know, when I'm editing the videos and I'm seeing how long the painting actually takes. Usually the painting clip takes the longest. So I guess typically I try to go slow when doing this, and especially when we have to do multiple coats. Alright, now this edge I wasn't so happy about because I didn't fill in the gap in between the two sandwiched EVA foam. Usually I would do some sort of filler so that it doesn't show that edge, but since it's mostly in black, it's not really that noticeable. So, you know, it's fine. It's, you know, not going to be seen anyway because she's going to be wearing it in a rave and it's pretty dark. Mostly the shiny paint is what's going to make a difference, I think, when you're at a rave. Alright, almost done with the painting here. Just one last ear / fin to go. And I didn't bother painting the bottom of the fin since I'm gonna be gluing those bottom portions to the headband, so the paint would actually get in the way. Some paint did get into them, but not enough, to get in the way of gluing to the headband. All right, all done with the painting. So now I'm gonna glue these to the headband using some contact cement as well. This was a little bit tricky because the headband is wanting to, close down, and the angle of the curvature of the top fin, is not as curved as the actual headband. So I have to be careful to open up the headband while I'm gluing it. And to do that, what I did, and you'll see in a bit, is I'm going to open up the headband a bit. I'm going to put it around a box to hold it open for enough so that the top fin, can lay flat along the curvature. So there it is. Contact cement is pretty good in that, after just a few seconds, as long as it dries up, it's gonna hold on. Okay, now I needed to replace the box with something smaller because I'm gonna attach the ear fins now. And the ear fins I'm attaching only halfway through the headband, since the headband goes up to the sort of the top of the ear, and these are meant to look like ears. So by putting them just halfway down, then they look like they are ears. There we go. And that pretty much does it. Just have to wait for it to dry a little bit. And there's my daughter wearing the Hangyodon headband.